Cool, man. So yeah, let's start off. I mean, how long wait, how long ago did you even join the program again?
4 weeks, I guess.
4 weeks, man. Yeah. And I remember the first call we had like a little bit, but can you refresh my memory what we were talking about, like why you came to the program?
Basically, my wife was at the point where she was done with me.
Yeah.
And she was at that time talking to another guy, um, because she had her words, checked out of our marriage. And yeah, so I knew I needed to change. And um, actually, a guy here in town referred me to the
Yes.
program.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, so I joined, and now I have my wife back. So I joined the program, and I went through, I can't remember, I think level one, level two, in a short period of time, because I was like, I need to do this. I
You were
need to get to
motivated.
work.
You're like, I'm going
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep. And so the CLC reports, I think, is actually what showed her the most, because I wrote down all the core issues, and I made those into CLC reports and gave them to her, one a week, and showed her that, okay, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm changing, and then made those changes, did the work, actually changed. And she saw that. And then it came time to where uh I confronted her about the other guy. And going into that conversation, she was still at the point where she wanted to separate. She left for a work conference, maybe 2 weeks ago. She was gone. She left Monday morning and she came back Tuesday night. She came home that Tuesday night after the kids were already in bed. And we talked for a while about the conference. I asked her all about it. She told me, what they did there, what she learned, and all that stuff. And then we went to bed, and she was being a little extra cuddly, and so I just went for it. And yeah, we had sex like 3 times that night. And then legit, it's been every night since then, every single night.
And I'm just gonna like reinforce some of the things that you did correctly, so you continue to do them, even though they're probably already in your brain. First thing is
Yep,
that
yep,
you led, right? You took the
yep,
leadership role. You're like, I know what I want, and I'm going to express what I want. Instead of a lot of guys will wait for their wife's approval before they decide to put themselves out there because they don't want to get hurt.
yep,
Like
yep,
if she's going to leave me, then I'm going to protect myself, and I'm not going to tell her that I want to work this out. But if you let her do that, it would have been over.
exactly. Yep, yep,
The second thing you did was you gave her forgiveness like that.
yep,
You're like, I know. And number three is taking responsibility, but like you're like, I
yep,
know I took responsibility for my part in this.
yep,
You're worth more than just like being resentful toward. I forgive you, I forgive myself, and let's work this out.
yep.
And those three qualities, the commitment, the forgiveness, and the leadership. There you go. Tell me like some of those things you changed that you showed her through the CLC reports. What did you change?
So I think the very first one I gave her was about communication. Um, she would want to have a conversation, and I would have my phone most of the time, and I would somewhat pay attention to her and just not really ignore her, but wasn't really in the conversation. I gave her that the first week, and that night we talked for like 3 hours. No phones, no distractions, no nothing. It was it might even been a little bit longer, but I think it was like 3 hours straight. We just talked.
Yeah.
And the following night and the following, it continued. So, and she noticed that. The second one I gave her was about helping her with the housework, which basically before I was like, well, because I do all the cooking. I was like, well, I do the cooking and the yard work and, taking care of all that stuff. As I said, or used to think, okay, I did that. So then the rest is on her. Well, that was one of her core issues, was I wouldn't help her enough around the house. So I told her from here on out, I said, I'm taking over the housework. I said, no, it should not fall on just one person. And even she agreed. She's like, well, it shouldn't just fall on you for that. And I said, but right now, I said, it's helping me focus. I said, while I while I'm doing the housework, I'm thinking about the homework that I have in the program. I'm thinking about us and how I'm going to change and how I can do things better. I said it's helping me focus on what I need to focus on.
I think one of the most important aspects of those CLC reports is that, especially with the dream and like how this is what a lot of guys I've tried to really emphasize the point you caught it really well there is like, it's not so much the event that happened that causes the damage. It was your guys' communication about the event. And then going back to that event and being like, I see the way you see it now in your perspective. And here's how I was feeling. And that clear, honest, raw, like perspective is like, okay, now I can connect with you on why you felt this way, why you did what you did.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. Yep. When a lot of guys start making these changes, there's a little part of her that questions, is this real? And so what a woman will sometimes do is she'll test. Did she give you any of those tests?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
How did she do that?
Yep. With the communication stuff, she would be like, not try to start a fight, but kind of. And so I would wouldn't react. I would like you said in the course, I just don't react, don't show emotion, just accept it and move on from something else in the conversation. And that's what I did. And that worked. So
yeah. That's the way to pass every test is like, you just don't react, right? Like she has her frame that this is a huge deal. And like, to you, it's a big deal. Absolutely. You respect that, but you don't like fall into her frame, right? Because then you're taking a feminine approach, right? You're
Yep, exactly.